What's going on, fellow warriors? Today is a beautiful day here outside of sunny Atlanta. So thank you for joining us today. Lunch and Live is a wonderful place for me to share awesome concepts from the Wellbeing book, The 5 Essential Elements of Wellbeing. I'm Derek, and today we're going to be talking about something really awesome. It's going to be about community well-being. Community well-being is a very close connecting point for all of us, and it's almost the center of where this particular Facebook group is going. We are a community united, and we're united for a specific purpose. And today, we're going to be going over, again, the community well-being chapter. But before we do that, don't forget, right up above my head here, we have the .com for where we collect everybody and get all this great information out. And we're also going to make sure that it's posted in the description and also in the links for people to share. All right, so getting in, I have something super special. I have the digital version, so I'm going to pull that up real quick. Yeah. So this is from my Kindle. Today, community isn't the first thing that you think about when you think about overall well-being. And for a lot of us, we don't realize that community and community well-being, it starts with some basic things, especially about like feeling safe in your environment. In some places, there's safety is not a very easy thing to use as a term, because you find yourself looking over your shoulder everywhere you go, down the street, down to the store, whatever, you're going to be going on a trip. You have to think about things, especially here in the U.S. There are certain barriers. Some people, they worry about, am I too old to go out right now, especially for the social isolation. Their gender may come into factor. Sometimes ethnicity comes into factor. Those are all key things that help us to think about where our community is at and where we want to blend in. Quality of life factors are something that we also think about when it comes to community well-being, because if you don't have food, you don't have clean water, and you don't have a roof over your head, where are your thoughts? They're not necessarily in a very easy place to be, especially for people wanting to break free of a cycle of being scared, afraid, and having nowhere to turn to. And especially for people struggling with transition. And we currently have a lot of our veterans are in the program or working with us, but there's a lot that aren't, and they're homeless and on the streets. And right now, that's a very difficult time, especially with COVID-19 being so prevalent throughout the United States and throughout the world. As you start to kind of look at the factors that go into community well-being, you think about what is a good example. Community well-being, it centers on having a place where you can thrive with your personality, with your family, your interest, your life situation. And for a lot of us, that means being in a good neighborhood, being in a place where your kids can go to school and not be afraid of bullies and things that are going to affect them. And then also, people, they enjoy good scenery. And so as you look at the cost of living too, that's also a factor. For community well-being, we have to kind of center on what that is for us and figure out what is important. And then that kind of helps us to define a roadmap on how to build our community well-being. There are a couple themes that I'd like to just kind of put out there, and one of them specifically being, if you put yourself in a good environment, let's say a beautiful surrounding, in a park, in a place where you can kind of feel the ambiance and it lifts your spirit, and having a good place for public gathering and being able to share your thoughts with people that feel like you, and then also being in a place where general openness for who you are as a person is acceptable, because we all want to be accepted. And that's where a community has a lot to specifically show for us within the well-being model. So where you're living right now doesn't necessarily determine your community well-being. And so you have to think about where your community well-being is going to go. And so as we go through the week, you have to think about your community and a strong community, because a lot of people think they live in a strong community, but they're not even involved with that community. And so that can kind of lower the community well-being for that individual. And you really want to push forward and look at ways to be part of a community, especially right now with online communities. There are so many opportunities. And this is a way right now that I'm giving back, that I'm being part of, sharing my story and reading a book. I hate to read, but I'm reading this well-being book so that I can share what I'm learning with you as a fellow veteran. So think about this. A thriving community well-being is centered on what we do to give back from what we've received, what we've gathered, what we've gotten back from Warrior Week, from Path. What are you going to do? How are you going to lift people up? How are you going to carry the torch? So I leave you with this question right now. What are some ways that you can give back to your community, specifically this community or the veteran community or your family's community? So think about that this week, and as we go forward, we're going to keep it rocking. Don't forget, we'll be here tomorrow, 1 o'clock, 1300 Eastern Standard Time.